Hi y'all, it's Annelies, and iOS 14 came out a few months back now, and this was an iOS that I was so looking forward to, like the most I'd been looking forward to a software update since iOS 7, because it gave us so many updates to our iPhones, including widgets and a lot of new ways to kind of customize our devices. So I felt like it was way beyond due to do my What's on my iPhone tour of my iPhone video, and I really like doing these videos because I like watching them. I get a lot of benefit from a What's on my iPhone video, like finding out people's favorite apps and discovering my new favorite apps, as well as getting inspiration on how my phone might be better laid out to suit me. So I really enjoy hearing what some of my favorite creators have on their phones, and hopefully you enjoy hearing what I've got on my iPhone. So if you're interested in any of that, go ahead and keep on watching. Alrighty, so using the power of the screen recording on the iPhone, we have my iPhone here on screen so you can follow along with me. And I just wanted to go over kind of like the layout of my device, as well as maybe a few key apps. If you are interested in some of my favorite apps and more of like a deeper dive into that, I did make a my favorite apps video and I updated it to this year. So if you want to go check that out and learn a little bit more specifics about some of my favorite apps, that's the perfect video for you. Otherwise, we're just gonna kind of like touch on everything pretty lightly so that way you can get a general idea of what's going on here. So of course, first on my first homepage, you see a lot of Apple apps. It looks straight out of the box, except, you know, organized to be a little bit fit for me, but it does mimic what it is like when you first set up a new phone. So up at the top left, I have the Files app, which is the Apple app for kind of seeing your files across iCloud Drive, Google Drive on your iPhone. I don't use it a ton, but I like having it there for when I do need it. It also has a placeholder to make sure all the rest of the apps fit exactly where I want them to go. Then we have the Calendar app, and one of these days, I've been saying this for so long, I'm going to do a like dedicated iCloud calendar, Apple calendar video, because I love iCloud calendars and I love Apple calendars, and I kind of want to just talk about why I love them so much. Just the hard thing is some of my calendar events have like addresses and things, so I need to plan out the video a lot more. Look forward to that in the future. Then we've got photos, camera, settings. Yes, I use Apple Maps, but I do have Google Maps downloaded because one feature that I do like on Google Maps is how you can have multiple stops within your route. That's pretty cool. Anyways, we've got reminders, FaceTime, and then I have a utilities folder here. And then we've got some basic apps. TimeHop is a fun app for kind of going through your social media history of what was done today. So it connects to your camera roll, to any of your social media. So I can see that today I was with Mickey Mouse in Florida. I think it was his birthday. Was it his birthday? It's literally just like an app that takes you down memory lane, and I really love that. Voice memos I use all of the time. Good golly. That's where I like exert all of my video ideas out of just my brain before I type them down, because sometimes I have the thought in my head but I can't figure out how to type it. Voice memos is great. On the next page, Apple support, the new Translate app, which Apple, please come out with Dutch on the Apple Translate app soon. Please, please, please. Then we've got App Store and my first widget, which is the weather app. I'm just one of those people who's just like, what's the weather gonna be like today? Even though I'm not leaving my house? I don't know. And I like having the widget here because I can see all the information I need to see without actually going into the app. And this is one of those things where I don't really need to interact with the app. Weather is one that I just need to consume information. So that's why I really like the weather widget there. The one thing, the gripe I have with widgets is how big they are. This is the small size. I personally believe, Apple, if you're listening, that they could come out with a widget that was the size of 2 apps and give me all of that information there, just a lot more condensed. Look how much blue space is in that widget. Like, we can cut the fat there. I don't need to see mostly cloudy. You can just give me like the high of 63, low of 44, the actual weather right now, Sacramento. That could all fit in a 2 square widget. And I think I would use widgets a lot more if that was possible. So that's like my biggest beef, is I think they're too big. They take up too much real estate, but also there's just not enough good widgets right now, I personally think. But anyway, got that widget there. And then we have my 2 favorite Notes apps. And I use 2 Notes apps like religiously. First of all, the Notes app, the Apple Notes app. I have tried other Notes apps. Like Evernote, I like got into, oh crap, what's that one called? OneNote. I tried Notion a little bit, and just, they're all too much. Like, I just want something plain that I can just open up and type some words and then move on with my life. And the Apple Notes app, I think, does that beautifully. Then we go over to Notability. And that is the app I love. Like, I use both of them in harmony because Notability, to me, is great for having documents on there and annotating them. So I'm in a show right now, and I always put my scripts in Notability. I'll even show you. So I can go into my script. This is something that I imported onto my iPad. I've taken all of these notes on my iPad with my Apple Pencil. I've gone through and I have my lines like highlighted. I have my notes for the show and in different markers and all these things. And I did a majority of this on my iPad, and I've even edited some things on my computer too. But what I like about having Notability on my phone is that I have access to all of that information. So although I can say that I rarely use this app to input things like from my phone into the app, I am using it all the time on my other devices, and I like having it as a resource on my phone. So I use Notes more on my phone and Notability more as a resource on my phone, if that makes sense. And then moving on, we've got Duolingo. Duolingo is a great way to learn a language or keep up with languages you already know. I'm trying to keep up with my French and learn Dutch. So I keep Duolingo on there as just a reminder. Sometimes I'll play it on my phone, especially when we used to be able to go out and about in the world. If I was at like a drag show, I'd always get there really early and sit there on my phone and do my Duolingo. But otherwise, I mostly use it on my computer. But anyway, we've got YouTube, YouTube Studio, the podcast app, messages, and then this little guy down here, which is a shortcut. So if you've seen those custom iPhone screens that everybody's been doing where they like make the apps look like whatever, they're creating shortcuts. I made a video about this. Please go check it out. I really love how that video turned out. I think it explains it pretty well. But anyway, this here is a shortcut for my favorite playlist. So when I click on this, it's going to open the Shortcuts app, then open the playlist, and then play the playlist on shuffle. So I really love doing this because my A+ Recent Jams is the name of this playlist, and that is where I put all of my current favorite music. When I get into my car, all I have to do is turn on my car, press that button, and boom, my favorite music starts playing automatically. Or connect my headphones, press that button. I don't need to go into the music app and then go to library and then playlists and then A+ Recent Jams and then shuffle. In one click, it does it all for me. And then on my little like bottom bar, I've got phone, mail, Safari, and music. And yes, I use Apple Music. Let's go ahead and move on to what is this called? I don't know what this screen is called. Whatever this screen is called, where widgets were originally born, that place. So I've got the battery widget at the top, which is also cool because I've got an Apple Watch, I have AirPods, I've got other headphones. It's a good time having all your batteries right there. I had that there before the widgets changed. Then I've got screen time, just because I like looking at that and being embarrassed by how much I'm on my phone. Then I have this here, which looks like it's the podcast widget, but it's actually a smart stack that I did not put there. It was a smart stack that was like default, and when you're not swiping through the stack, you don't see the dots on the side. And I think one day I was just like scrolling through and I like flicked my hand and I saw that it was a smart stack. So I don't use it a ton. I just have it there, honestly. And then the one I do actually like is my Dream Days widget, because it's a countdown app, one of my favorite apps, and I need to update it clearly because my birthday has passed and so is November 1st. Cool, moving on. Okay, one thing I did want to talk about is my control center, because this, I don't think a lot of people know that you can customize the little like icons, shortcuts at the bottom. If you go into your settings and then you go to control center, you can choose what controls are in your control center. So this is what I've got going on in mine: flashlight, timer, calculator, camera, the low power mode, which I also have a shortcut that runs an automation on my phone for whenever my phone goes below 50%, it will actually turn on low power mode automatically. But in case I ever want to turn it on by myself, I do have that button there. Then a shortcut to the Notes app. What you're seeing right now is the screen recording button, because I do use screen recording actually quite a lot, especially for my YouTube videos, so that's an essential. Then the voice memos one, this is the Apple TV remote, which I don't use a ton, but if you have an Apple TV, I absolutely recommend having the Apple TV app, the Apple TV remote app on your phone, just in case you lose your remote, at least you'll still have access to a remote. And then I don't remember putting the bedtime thing on there. Oh, it's the sleep mode. Yeah, what's that for? Oh, I think that's where it puts it on like do not disturb and all the I honestly don't know. And then announce messages with Siri, which is a really cool feature of the AirPods that I also don't remember putting on there. Okay, we're just gonna move on from that. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next screen where you can see I have the most widgets, and I've got a few apps, but honestly, these apps that are on this screen are more so apps that I don't want to have to use Spotlight search for. Like, I like having them without having to be searched, which sounds really weird. But anyway, if you don't know what Spotlight search is, let me change your life real quick. Just go onto any screen on your phone, pull down from like the middle-ish area, and then you get this search bar. And it's fantastic because you can search your phone for anything. You can Google things, you can search the App Store, and most importantly, what I use it for is searching for apps. You can also search for contacts, it's a good time. But like, let's say I want to look for the Target app. I type in Target, and then if I want to open that, all I need to do is hit go, and boom. And now I'm in the Target app. I didn't have to go search for it. I didn't have to go into a folder. Good times all around. I love it. You gotta love it. So I use Spotlight Search all the time, even for some of the apps on this page. If I like forget that it's there, or my brain just kind of goes one track mind into Spotlight Search because it's like a force of habit now, I just literally, I do that so often. Searching for contacts, messages, whatever. For what's on this screen, we've got the fitness widget up in the top left. Honestly, I just wanted an excuse to have a widget because I felt like I was missing out on the widget game, and like, cool, I can keep track of my rings and realize how much less active I am in quarantine. I love that. And then I have a finance folder, which I don't use these all the time, but there's just something I like better about having it on my home screen, just for like my bank, my stocks, you know, Venmo, things like that. I don't know why I still have that there, but I just do. And then I've got the Patreon app, which helps me check out not only Patreons that I am a patron of, but it's like a dashboard for my own personal Patreon. Thank you to my patrons who are part of the Patreon and anybody who has been in the past. I'm doing a big overhaul of my Patreon come 2021. So if you want to join that, get exclusive updates on the channel, help suggest things for the channel, or just kind of chat with me, please consider checking out my Patreon and supporting me monetarily if you can. I really appreciate it. But if not, subscribing and liking the video is also a huge support to me. So thank you. Then I've got the Rosetta Stone app that I got like Rosetta Stone like 5 years ago, and the app was trash back then. And now it is better. It's no Duolingo. Duolingo is fantastic, and I would say don't buy Rosetta Stone if you haven't started your language learning journey yet. Try Duolingo first and then move over to Rosetta Stone, because I think there's benefits to Rosetta Stone. But anyway, that's a video for another day. I have the app here. I don't use it as much as I should, and I needed to get better at that. Then I've got Pokemon Go, because yes, I still play Pokemon Go, even from the comfort of my own home. Then we have Discord, Medium, another widget, and yes, it's the batteries one again, and I've got no real reason why I have 2 batteries widgets on my phone, but like, let me live, I guess. And then we have the ESPN app, because it's the sports ball season right now. Of course, there's Sloth, which is a productivity app. I did a little bit of a deep dive of it in my favorite apps video, so go check that out if you're interested. And then we have the Unfold app, which is for making Instagram stories, which I've been off Instagram for like 3 months, but if I delete it, then it will ruin the order of everything, and that will make me very upset, so I'm not going to do that. Makes it even. I'm dumb, and my brain is also dumb. And then we have Gas Buddy, which is an app for finding gas near you, especially cheap gas. And that's it for what's like on my home screen. But I wanted to talk about the app library real quick, because if you have not used it and you're on iOS 14, really consider using this. So I'm gonna pull back the curtain real quick and show you my hidden home screens. Now, some of these I have for the purposes of videos, but this is a home screen I had, which was just a screen full of folders, which is what the app library is. So why would I just have a screen full of folders when I have a screen full of folders? Instead of deleting this page in case I did want to go back to my old iOS 13 ways, I just hid the screen, and now I have that same purpose here. The only thing that's a little bit different is that these are smart folders, like categories, so Apple is the one who puts them in the categories. So for instance, I have a folder called productivity and finance, and I would not pair those two together, but I could also see how maybe the phone can't differentiate between the two. So like Lyft Driver, is that a finance app because it makes you money, or is it productivity? And then Notability is definitely not finance, but then like a job search app, is that finance? So I kind of get that, and I wish that I could customize the folders or the categories, because sometimes I don't agree with where those are, and it makes it a little bit tricky if I'm going through the folders trying to find something that way. But if I can't find it, then I just use Spotlight Search most of the time. So this is just a way for me to kind of like go back and visually see everything that I have, because I'm a very visual person. So sometimes I go, okay, I want to edit a photo, and I only have one photo editing app in my mind, but if I had a folder where I could see all the apps I had, I go, oh my gosh, I do have Pixelmator on my phone. I could have been using that this whole time. So I do really like the app library. I use recently added pretty often because I tend to download apps, and then like I said, out of sight, out of mind, and I forget I have them. That's nice to have. But otherwise, that is pretty much it. I think I nailed everything, touched on everything that's on my phone, and I hope that this was informational for you, maybe gave you some inspiration for apps that you want to download or a new way of laying out your phone. I think seeing somebody's phone is kind of like an insight into their mind and how things work. Like the reason why I have apps in certain places is because I use them a lot, or it just looks pretty, or the colors, or like it's easier to reach that way. So I don't know, I like watching these videos because I kind of get inspiration on how I want to run my devices and how I want them to look. And like I've said before, I have found some of my favorite apps through people talking about what they have on their phone. So I hope this video helped you find your new favorite app, or if you watched this video and you said, Annelies, how do you not have XYZ app? You're crazy. Please leave it in a comment. Let me know what I'm missing out on, or if there is a widget I need to try, or a certain layout, or whatever, let me know in a comment. I would love to hear y'all's input. Leave a comment if you got something to say. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you're new, or if you're one of those 90% of my viewers who is not subscribed, consider subscribing. Like I said, I have a Patreon and I also have a podcast. Those will be linked with my social media in the description down below. Thank y'all so much for watching and hanging out with me and just kind of like getting a little peek inside my life, because our phones are our lives. Otherwise, that is it for me. Stay beautiful, have a marvelous day, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.